Okay, so I came to get to know my 3-point hitch without any prior knowledge. I've never seen one of these before, and I will admit the first time I put it on, it was an absolute nightmare. But once you figure it out and kind of know what you're doing, it's not too bad. Now you do have to put, when I'm attaching the belly mower, the 3-point hitch is responsible for raising the mower up and down. Basically, I only put on the left side and just leave the right side off, because this is what actually does the raising and the lowering. So the 3-point arm comes out and engages with this little L here, and that'll lift your mower up and down. But for the snowblower, obviously we need both sides on. And so that is what we're going to do. The best thing, grab yourself 13, 14 millimeter ratchet. And I think it's the 14 mil. First thing we do is loosen up the center bolt here. Back it off quite a bit. That will enable you to move the bar around. Next thing, pull out the 2 pins on either side. Slide your pin over and slide one into your bar on. Get the other bar. Slide the pin over again. Now before you start, you always want to make sure these ball linkages here are nice and loose. They seize up pretty easily. So just spray some penetrating oil and crack them free. It will make life a lot easier. You won't have to take the bar down. These things are, I mean, they're heavy. They got a lot of steel there. So yeah, I want to make sure everything is set before you start trying to maneuver these things. You can see a little bit of wear there on that bar where it engages the L to raise the mower. And then next thing I do, undo your pins. I just keep all my pins with the hitch. Find it a lot easier. Those are really hard to engage with gloves on. Okay, there we go. Both arms in, sway bars in, pins are all back in, and the side pins on the main bar are in, the spacers in. Now the last thing to do is to line up the indent in the bar with that top screw here. And if you don't get it quite exactly on, it lines itself up. And just tighten it. And there we go. Done. Last one is to put the top bar, the top link in, but I'll do that when I'm out by the snowblower. Okay. Last thing, let's get that snowblower hooked up. So we hooked it up. Now we didn't do everything. I was getting a little bit worried about the ice that was hanging over my head on the side of the garage. It was looking pretty obvious. So got the basics done and then brought it inside. So next thing we're going to do is connect up the drive shaft for this, and then tighten up, level it off by adjusting the top link, and tighten up all the sway bars so that the snowblower is fixed and in line with the center line of the tractor. Connect the main drive shaft. I normally keep the ends covered, however for some reason this year I didn't. So I just cleaned the end out with some parts cleaner. Have to get these really clean, otherwise I find they don't lock in if there's dirt and stuff in the way. These things are heavy, so this is a bit of a pain, but fortunately I'm only doing it once a year. So line it up, pull the retaining clip back, and it should slide on fairly easily. There we go. There, got it. As they get older, those retaining rings kind of, they don't move as smoothly as they did. So, put the chain in for the guard, and then we will adjust the sway bars to get everything centered and lined up. Alright, chains are on, drive shaft is on. Next thing is to adjust the sway bars. There's two turnbuckles basically, and you want to tighten them up so that there's no play left or right. It's quite important, especially with this one, because this one's a little bit too big for this tractor, and if it swings and it's not lined up right, this handle will hit my light. So yeah, very important to tighten everything up. Pretty straightforward. Pull the clips out that lock the turnbuckles in, and you tighten them up, making sure that everything is centered. So as we loosen this one, obviously this side comes down. Okay, tight. Last one is to adjust the plow this way. So if you're down more, you're scraping more driveway gravel. So. Okay, that's it. Snowblower's on. Everything's tightened up. On a scale of 1 to 10, that's about a 4 on the annoyance factor. It's not too bad. This is my 5th or 6th season with this snowblower, so it's getting better with practice. The first year was about a 9 out of 10. It was yeah, it was really frustrating. It's tricky to line up a 3-point hitch when you're doing it solo, but you know, you just take your time, and eventually it's not too bad. Now I usually take this opportunity to grease everything on the 3-point hitch. I don't use the 3-point hitch often during the year, so it's a good time now just to go through and hit all the grease fittings with a little bit of grease. Don't forget there's the two joints on the shaft need grease, as well as there's a grease fitting underneath the shroud that also needs a little bit of grease. Now for reference, this is a 60-inch snowblower. It is way oversized for this B2320. You notice it when you've got, you know, really wet snow, really deep snow. If you just plow into it, the engine definitely bogs down quite a bit, and then starts spitting out some black smoke while it tries to recover. Basically, you just take it easy. I go slow in low gear. And other than that, you know, get through it eventually. The 3-point hitch has absolutely no trouble lifting this snowblower. The only thing you do have to be careful, again, is because it's a little bit oversized, if you don't tighten up those sway bars, this control arm will definitely hit your reverse light. And needless to say, the reverse light doesn't really stand a chance. So just make sure everything's tight and the snowblower is centered, doesn't sway on the hitch. Okay, go through, grease everything. I'm also going to spray a little bit of penetrating oil on all the ball joints and yeah, all the linkages, just to make sure they don't seize up. It is really quite a pain when they do seize up. Ever since I've been doing this, they've always remained free. I also put a little bit of oil on that to make sure it doesn't seize up. It stays nice and moves nice and easily. Okay, last thing. All right, guys, that's about it. We're all set for the winter time. Although, while we may get ready for it, I definitely hope we don't have to use it very much. I don't put many hours on in the winter time. I'd be surprised if I used a full tank of gas. It takes me about half hour, 45 minutes to clear my driveway with the snowblower, depending on how much it snows. It's like everything else with these machines. You can get a lot of work done really quickly. So, you know, it is what it is. It's definitely easier than doing it by hand or a walk behind blower. I don't mind the rear mounted snowblower. I like having the option of keeping the bucket on during the winter to scrape down the really hard packed snow, or just to push banks back. The bucket really does come in useful. And so yeah, it's not, I don't really find it too big a deal. I'm normally looking behind, but then, you know, I got clear runs, so I just fly blind for a portion of the time. Just keep checking back occasionally to make sure there's nothing in the path. And yeah, it's definitely worked out quite well. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.